I'm not asking for you to be my brother no more. I'm not asking you to be my friend. Just work.
T.R.O.Y and CL Smooth, Mount Vernon, New York, active since 1989. Hip-hop has always been a genre driven by innovation, but only a few artists have been able to capture a sound so unique that it defined an era. T.R.O.Y and CL Smooth were among that rare class. While they weren't the first rapper producer to emerge in the 90s, they were one of the most refined. Their music felt polished, soulful, and purposeful, blending T.R.O.Y's signature jazz-infused beats with CL Smooth's lyrical finesse. Their debut EP, All Sold Out in 1991, was just a glimpse of their potential. It introduced T.R.O.Y's signature horn samples and crisp drum programming paired with CL Smooth's smooth, almost effortless flow. Songs like The Creator showed that Pete wasn't just a producer, but a presence on the mic, while CL proved he could weave complex ideas into digestible rhymes without sacrificing depth. But it was Mecca and the Soul Brother in 1992 that turned them into legends. The album wasn't just good, it was elite. From the deep introspection of Straighten It Out, which tackled industry politics, to the smooth storytelling of Lots of Lovin', T.R.O.Y and CL Smooth mastered the balance between street wisdom and sophistication. They weren't flashy, they weren't overly aggressive. Instead, they embodied a mature version of hip-hop that resonated with anyone who appreciated lyricism and production at a high level. And of course, there was They Reminisce Over You, aka T.R.O.Y, the song that cemented their legacy. A tribute to their fallen friend Trouble T.R.O.Y, the track became an instant classic. T.R.O.Y's use of Tom Scott's saxophone sample remains one of the greatest flips in hip-hop history, and CL Smooth's reflective storytelling gave it an emotional depth that few rap songs had achieved before. Even decades later, it stands as one of the most recognizable and respected hip-hop songs of all time. Their second album, The Main Ingredient in 1994, didn't disappoint either. The production was smoother, jazzier, and even more refined than their debut, with tracks like I Gotta Love and Take You There, proving that T.R.O.Y was still evolving as a producer. CL's delivery remained as polished as ever, his voice effortlessly gliding over Pete's lush instrumentals. The album didn't produce a T.R.O.Y-level hit, but it was a masterclass in consistency and artistry. At this point, T.R.O.Y and CL Smooth had established themselves as a duo with unlimited potential. The respect was there, the talent was undeniable, and the future should have been bright. But instead of cementing their place among hip-hop's greatest, their run came to an abrupt halt. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to Kevo_Marveloso on IG for this request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. T.R.O.Y and CL Smooth are both from Mount Vernon, New York, a city just north of the Bronx that had already produced hip-hop talent like Heavy D and The Boys. Growing up in a place rich in musical influence, both artists found their calling early. T.R.O.Y was immersed in music from a young age. His cousin Heavy D helped him get his foot in the industry, but it was Pete's natural gift for digging through records and crafting sample-based beats that made him stand out. He got his start DJing for WBLS radio under the guidance of Marley Marl, where he sharpened his skills as both a producer and DJ. Corey's CL Smooth pen had a different approach. He was the voice, charismatic, intelligent, and reflective. His ability to craft verses with poetic depth made him the perfect complement to Pete's production. Together, they had the formula for greatness. Stunt number 1, Success Without Unity. For all their talent, T.R.O.Y and CL Smooth had one major flaw from the start. They weren't truly a team. Unlike other legendary duos like Gang Starr and Outkast, where mutual respect and shared vision kept them together, Pete and CL had a relationship built more on necessity than brotherhood. They worked well together in the studio, but outside of that, the connection wasn't as strong as it seemed. T.R.O.Y was the architect, the mastermind behind their sound. His beats, layered with jazz and soul samples, elevated their music beyond standard boom bap. He saw himself as the leader in many ways, the one providing the foundation, the one sought after for collaborations, and the one setting the direction. CL Smooth, on the other hand, was the voice, but often felt like he wasn't getting the recognition he deserved. This imbalance created early tension. Pete Rock's production was in high demand with legends like Nas, the Notorious B.I.G., and Public Enemy reaching out for his beats. He quickly became one of the most respected producers in hip-hop, and as his stock rose, CL Smooth found himself in an awkward position. He was talented, no question, but unlike Pete, he wasn't getting outside opportunities. His skill was undeniable, but his style wasn't as adaptable as Pete's production. Instead of operating as a duo with a clean plan for the future, Pete Rock and CL Smooth functioned more like two individual talents forced to share the same space. Pete saw himself as the creative genius driving their success, while CL felt like he wasn't being valued as an equal partner. When a group isn't built on mutual understanding, cracks can form fast. For Pete Rock and CL Smooth, those cracks would only grow deeper. Stunt number 2, creative differences and unresolved tension. Even before their split, Pete Rock and CL Smooth had problems that were never properly addressed. Unlike some groups that fall apart due to a single explosive moment, their decline was more of a slow burn. The core issue? They simply didn't see eye to eye on their creative direction. Pete Rock was a perfectionist. He obsessed over every detail of his production, constantly pushing to refine his sound. He was deeply invested in making every beat hit with the right level of emotion, nostalgia, and complexity. CL Smooth, while skilled, had a different mindset. He wanted more input, more control over the group's identity, but Pete's growing stature as a producer made that difficult. There was also the issue of how their music was perceived. Pete Rock's beats were getting more attention than CL's lyrics. Fans, critics, and even industry insiders often discuss Pete Rock as the driving force behind the duo. Meanwhile, CL Smooth, despite being an elite lyricist, struggled to escape Pete's shadow. It was a frustrating dynamic, one that never got resolved. On top of that, CL Smooth's approach to the business side of hip-hop was different from Pete's. He wanted more mainstream success, while Pete was content staying in his lane, crafting classic albums regardless of commercial appeal. This difference in vision created more tension, making it harder for them to function as a unit. Instead of having real conversations and finding a way to evolve together, they let tension linger. They had just dropped the main ingredient, another stellar album, but behind the scenes, their working relationship was already fractured. Rather than using their differences to push forward, they let them become roadblocks, and by the time they realized it, it was already too late. Stunt number 3, the breakup and the cost of going solo. By the mid-90s, Pete Rock and CL Smooth were at a crossroads. They had delivered 2 classic albums, their sound was respected across the industry, and they were still in their prime creatively. But instead of capitalizing on their momentum, they went their separate ways. Unlike some groups that publicly fall apart with diss tracks or explosive interviews, their split was quiet. No dramatic feuds, no bitter call-outs, just a gradual disconnection. But behind the scenes, the reason was clear: frustration, ego, and the inability to compromise. CL Smooth, feeling overshadowed, wanted to carve out his own identity and prove he could stand on his own. Pete Rock, already being recognized as one of hip-hop's best producers, had no shortage of opportunities outside the duo, but leaving wasn't the same as succeeding. For Pete Rock, the transition was smooth. He quickly became one of the most sought-after producers in hip-hop, working with Nas on Illmatic, the Notorious B.I.G. on Ready to Die, and other major names. His production style continued to evolve, keeping him relevant long after the duo split. For CL Smooth, there was a different story. While undeniably talented, he never found the same success on his own. His voice, flow, and subject matter were perfect over Pete's production, but without that chemistry, his solo career never reached the same heights. His 2006 album American Me and 2007's The Outsider had brilliant moments but didn't resonate with audiences the way their earlier work did. In breaking up, they lost more than just a partnership. They lost the magic that made them special. And as the years passed, it became clear that apart, neither could fully recapture what they had together. All in all, Pete Rock and CL Smooth had everything they needed to become one of hip-hop's greatest duos: chemistry, talent, and a sound that stood out even in an era of legends. But talent alone wasn't enough. Their inability to resolve creative differences, CL's frustration with being in Pete's shadow, and their lack of unity all led to their downfall. Though they've reunited for performances, the magic of their peak years was never fully restored. Pete Rock cemented his legacy as one of the greatest producers in hip-hop history, working with legends across multiple eras. CL Smooth, despite his undeniable talent, struggled to build a lasting solo career without Pete's production. Their story is one of unfilled potential, proving that success in music isn't just about talent, it's about communication, compromise, and longevity. Hip-hop will always remember them, but it will also wonder what could have been if they had found a way to stay together. Salute, much respect. It's your boy JC Stunt, Growth the Music, and I'm out.